The Endeavour, a human exploration vessel, was not a sight to behold. Compared to the sleek, menacing warships of the Zar'Kahn Empire, it was a relic, a clunky assemblage of mismatched modules and antennae that seemed held together by sheer determination. Its hull, scarred by countless micrometeorite impacts and solar flares, bore the marks of a long and arduous journey through the cosmos. Inside the ship, the atmosphere was a stark contrast to its worn exterior. The bridge was a hive of activity, holographic displays flickering with sensor data, and the hum of machinery a constant undertone. Captain Singh, a woman of Indian descent with a steely gaze and a calm demeanor, stood at the helm, her fingers dancing across the controls with practiced ease. Beside her stood Chief Engineer Chen, a lanky man with wild, unkempt hair and a perpetual glint of mischief in his eyes. Chen was a genius, a tinkerer who had spent years secretly upgrading the Endeavour with experimental technology salvaged from alien artifacts and reverse-engineered from their encounters with other species. Picking up a distress signal, Captain, a young ensign reported, his voice barely audible over the din of the bridge. Singh nodded, her eyes narrowing as she studied the incoming data. Source? Unknown, Captain. Originating from a nearby star system, designated Alpha Centauri Roman 7. Singh exchanged a knowing glance with Chen. Alpha Centauri Roman 7 was uncharted territory, a region of space known for its unpredictable anomalies and rumored to be home to hostile alien races. Lay in a course, Ensign, Singh ordered. Engage sublight engines. We're going in. The Endeavour shuddered as its engines roared to life, propelling the ship towards the source of the distress signal. As they approached the system, the ship's sensors picked up signs of a massive space battle. Multiple energy signatures detected, the ensign reported. 2 fleets engaged in combat. Visuals? Singh asked. The main viewscreen flickered to life, revealing a chaotic scene of laser fire and explosions. 2 fleets of warships, each numbering in the dozens, were locked in a deadly dance of destruction. One fleet was easily recognizable, the Zar'Kahn, their ships sleek and angular, their weapons devastatingly powerful. The other fleet was unfamiliar, their ships smaller and more organic in appearance. The Zar'Kahn, Chen muttered, a hint of worry in his voice. Those bastards are bad news. The Zar'Kahn were a notorious race, known for their aggression, their advanced technology, and their disdain for lesser species. They had carved out a vast empire through conquest and subjugation, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. They're hailing us, Captain, the ensign reported. Singh took a deep breath, bracing herself for the inevitable confrontation. On screen, the image of a Zar'Kahn commander appeared on the viewscreen, his reptilian features contorted in a sneer. Unidentified vessel, he snarled. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. Singh stepped forward, her voice clear and confident. This is the Endeavour, a human exploration vessel. We are responding to a distress signal. The commander's sneer deepened. Humans? A pathetic and primitive race. What business do you have in this sector? Singh raised an eyebrow. We are here to offer assistance. Perhaps you are unaware, but humans have a long history of aiding those in need. The commander let out a harsh laugh. Assistance? From a rust bucket like that? Your ship is an embarrassment, a relic of a bygone era. You are no match for the might of the Zar'Kahn. Singh's expression remained unchanged. Appearances can be deceiving, Commander, she said calmly. But we are not here to fight. We are here to help. The commander's eyes narrowed. Very well, he said. We will accept your assistance. But make no mistake, human, if you betray us, you will be annihilated. Singh nodded curtly. Understood, Commander. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge crew in stunned silence. They had just been threatened by one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. But beneath the surface, a flicker of defiance burned in their eyes. They might be underestimated, but they were not to be trifled with. The Endeavour, for all its flaws, was more than it seemed. The Zar'Kahn boarding party, a squad of 4 heavily armored warriors, marched onto the Endeavour's bridge with a menacing air of authority. Their leader, a hulking brute named Crag, surveyed the bridge with disdain, his eyes lingering on the outdated consoles and worn upholstery. "This is your command center?" Crag sneered, his voice a guttural growl. "It looks like a junkyard." Singh remained impassive, her hands folded behind her back. "It is functional, Commander," she replied calmly, "and it serves our purposes well." Crag grunted, unconvinced. "We are here to inspect your ship," he announced. "By order of Commander Zar'Kahn. We will verify your claims of non-aggression and determine if you pose any threat to the Zar'Kahn Empire." Singh nodded curtly. "Very well. You are free to inspect the ship, within reason. However, certain areas are off-limits due to sensitive research equipment." Crag's eyes narrowed. "We will decide what is off-limits," he growled. Singh held his gaze, her own eyes unwavering. "I would advise against overstepping your bounds, Commander. We are not your enemies." Crag hesitated for a moment, sensing an unexpected resolve in the human captain. Then, with a dismissive wave of his hand, he gestured for his warriors to begin their inspection. As the Zar'Kahn spread out across the bridge, Chen and his team of engineers worked feverishly in the engineering section, ensuring that all traces of the Endeavour's hidden upgrades were concealed. They rerouted power conduits, masked energy signatures, and even employed holographic camouflage to disguise sensitive equipment. Meanwhile, Singh and her senior officers engaged in a tense game of cat and mouse with the Zar'Kahn boarding party. They answered questions evasively, deflected inquiries about the ship's capabilities, and subtly misdirected the aliens' attention. The Zar'Kahn, frustrated by the humans' lack of cooperation, grew increasingly suspicious. They probed deeper, searching for any sign of hidden weaponry or technology. However, their efforts were in vain. The Endeavour, thanks to Chen's ingenuity, remained an enigma, a seemingly harmless relic, hiding a powerful secret. In the chaos of the ongoing space battle, the Zar'Kahn command ship received a report from the boarding party. The humans, they claimed, were indeed non-aggressive and posed no threat. Their ship was outdated and poorly equipped, a mere scientific vessel with no military value. Commander Zar'Kahn scoffed at the report, his instincts telling him otherwise. Yet, with the battle raging and the Qatar forces putting up a surprisingly fierce resistance, he had no choice but to trust his warriors' judgment. He ordered the boarding party to return to their ship and focus their efforts on defeating the Qatar. As the Zar'Kahn shuttle departed, Singh and Chen exchanged a relieved look. They had successfully maintained their deception, buying themselves valuable time. But the respite was short-lived. The space battle raged on, and the Qatar were losing ground. "We can't just sit here and watch them get slaughtered," Singh said, her voice grim. "We have to do something." Chen nodded. "I'm already working on it," he said, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "Time to show these Zar'Kahn bastards what the Endeavour is really capable of." In the heart of the Endeavour, a symphony of activity unfolded, hidden from the prying eyes of the Zar'Kahn. Engineers in stained overalls swarmed through the cramped corridors, their tools flashing as they rerouted power conduits and calibrated energy fields. At the center of this controlled chaos was Chen, his eyes gleaming with a feverish intensity as he oversaw the final preparations. "Shields online," a technician called out, her voice echoing through the engineering section. "Cloaking systems engaged," another voice chimed in. Chen nodded, a satisfied grin spreading across his face. "Good, good. Now for the main course." He gestured towards a massive cylindrical device, pulsating with an ominous blue light. This was the Sol Invictus, the experimental energy weapon that Chen had poured years of his life into developing. It was a marvel of engineering, a testament to human ingenuity and the unyielding spirit of exploration. "Power level stable?" Chen asked, his voice barely audible over the thrumming of the Sol Invictus. "Stable, but fluctuating," a technician replied, his brow furrowed in concentration. "We're pushing it to the limit." Chen nodded, understanding the risks. The Sol Invictus was a double-edged sword. It could unleash a devastating blast of energy, capable of obliterating entire warships, but it also drained the Endeavor's power reserves at an alarming rate. It was a weapon of last resort, to be used only in the direst of circumstances. On the bridge, Singh watched the space battle unfold on the main view screen, her heart sinking as the Qatar forces continued to lose ground. The Zar'Kahn were relentless, their superior numbers and firepower overwhelming the smaller, more agile Qatar ships. "We can't wait any longer," Singh said, her voice firm. "It's time to show these Zar'Kahn what we're made of." She turned to her communications officer. "Open a channel to the Zar'Kahn flagship." "Channel open, Captain," the officer replied. Singh's face appeared on the view screen, her eyes locked on Commander Zar'Kahn. "Commander," she said, her voice cold and measured, "we are revoking our offer of assistance." Zar'Kahn's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed in suspicion. "What is the meaning of this, human?" he snarled. "You underestimated us, Commander," Singh replied. "You mistook our kindness for weakness. You assumed that our ship was nothing more than a harmless relic. You were wrong." As she spoke, the Endeavor's cloaking device disengaged, revealing the ship in all its modified glory. The Zar'Kahn, caught off guard, stared in disbelief as the Endeavor's hull shimmered with an unseen energy field, deflecting their stray laser fire. "We are not what you think we are," Singh continued. "We are the Endeavour, and we are here to end this conflict." With that, the Endeavour unleashed its full arsenal. Energy beams lanced out from hidden weapon ports, crippling Zar'Kahn ships and sending them spiraling out of control. Missile batteries erupted, raining down destruction on the enemy fleet. The Zar'Kahn, caught completely off guard, scrambled to respond. But the Endeavour was too fast, too agile, too unpredictable. It danced through the battlefield, dodging enemy fire and delivering devastating blows. Panic and chaos erupted within the Zar'Kahn fleet as the Endeavour continued its relentless assault. Their once proud armada was now a scattered mess of crippled ships and panicked calls for reinforcements. Commander Zar'Kahn, his face twisted in a mask of rage and disbelief, barked orders into his communicator, desperately trying to regain control of the situation. "All ships, focus fire on the human vessel," he roared. "Destroy it at all costs." A barrage of laser fire converged on the Endeavour, but the ship's experimental shields held firm, deflecting the blast with ease. The Zar'Kahn, accustomed to overwhelming their opponents with sheer firepower, found themselves outmatched by the humans' advanced technology. Meanwhile, the Qatar, witnessing the Endeavour's unexpected intervention, rallied their remaining ships and launched a counterattack. The tide of the battle began to shift, the momentum swinging in favor of the underdog. "They're turning the tide, Captain," Chen shouted from the engineering section, his voice filled with excitement. "We're giving those slimy bastards a taste of their own medicine." Singh grinned, her heart pounding with adrenaline. "Keep it up, Chen, we're not done yet." She glanced at the view screen, where the Zar'Kahn flagship was now in clear view. It was a massive dreadnought, bristling with weapons and shielded by an impenetrable energy barrier. Destroying it would be a daunting task, but Singh knew it was the key to ending the conflict. "Chen," she said, her voice grim, "prepare the Sol Invictus." Chen's eyes widened. "Are you sure, Captain? It's a risky move." "I know," Singh replied, "but it's our only chance. We have to take out their flagship." Chen nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. He and his team worked feverishly to prepare the Sol Invictus, calibrating its targeting systems and ensuring that its energy reserves were fully charged. As the Zar'Kahn flagship turned its attention towards the Endeavour, unleashing a devastating volley of fire, Singh gave the order. "Fire!" A blinding beam of energy erupted from the Endeavour's bow, cutting through space like a scythe. It struck the Zar'Kahn flagship's shields, causing them to ripple and distort. The Zar'Kahn crew watched in horror as the beam intensified, slowly eating away at their defenses. Their energy shields, once thought impenetrable, began to falter. "Shields failing," a panicked voice cried out from the flagship's bridge. Zar'Kahn, his face pale with fear, desperately ordered his engineers to divert all power to the shields. But it was too late. The Sol Invictus beam, fueled by the Endeavor's last reserves of energy, punched through the weakened shields and struck the flagship's hull. A massive explosion ripped through the ship, tearing it apart from the inside out. The once proud dreadnought, the symbol of Zar'Kahn power, was reduced to a cloud of debris, its twisted wreckage slowly drifting through space. The Zar'Kahn fleet, witnessing the destruction of their flagship, fell into disarray. Their morale shattered, their command structure broken. They had no choice but to retreat, leaving the Qatar to claim victory. On the bridge of the Endeavour, the crew erupted in cheers, their joy tempered by exhaustion and the knowledge that they had narrowly escaped destruction. Singh, however, remained calm, her eyes fixed on the remnants of the Zar'Kahn fleet as they fled the system. "This is not the end," she said quietly, her voice filled with determination. "This is just the beginning." The jubilation on the Endeavour was short-lived. As the Zar'Kahn fled, a wave of exhaustion washed over the crew. The strain of maintaining the deception, coupled with the adrenaline rush of battle, had taken its toll. Yet the sense of accomplishment was palpable. They had defied the odds, proven the naysayers wrong, and most importantly, saved lives. In the relative calm that followed, Singh called a meeting of her senior officers in the ship's mess hall. The mood was somber, the faces of the crew etched with fatigue, but their eyes sparkled with a newfound respect for their captain and chief engineer. "That," Chen declared, raising a mug of recycled coffee, "was one hell of a show." The crew chuckled wearily, the tension easing slightly. Singh smiled faintly. "Indeed, it was," she said. "But our work is far from over. The Zar'Kahn may have retreated, but they will be back. And next time, they'll be prepared." The room fell silent, the weight of her words settling heavily upon the crew. They had achieved a temporary victory, but the war was far from over. "We need to regroup," Singh continued. "Assess our damage, replenish our energy reserves, and prepare for the next encounter. We also need to establish contact with the Qatar. They may be our only allies in this region of space." "What about the Sol Invictus?" Chen asked, his brow furrowed. "That thing nearly drained us dry. We can't use it again anytime soon." Singh nodded. "I know. We'll have to rely on our other systems for now. But I'm confident that you and your team will find a way to recharge the Sol Invictus, won't you, Chen?" Chen grinned, his eyes twinkling with the challenge. "You can count on it, Captain. Give me a few days, and I'll have that baby up and running again." The crew dispersed, each returning to their respective duties with renewed purpose. Singh, however, remained in the mess hall, lost in thought. The battle had been a gamble, a desperate move that could have easily ended in disaster. But it had paid off, proving that the Endeavour was more than just a rusty old ship. She thought of the Zar'Kahn commander, Zar'Kahn, his arrogance and contempt for humanity. She had hoped that their victory would teach him a lesson, but she knew that the Zar'Kahn were not a race to easily let go of grudges. They would seek revenge, of that she was certain. But Singh was not afraid. She had faith in her crew, in their ingenuity and resourcefulness. They had faced down a superior foe and emerged victorious. They were the underdogs, the misfits, the forgotten. But they were also the future, the embodiment of human potential and the indomitable spirit of exploration. In the wake of the battle, the Endeavour limped towards the nearest habitable planet, a lush jungle world orbiting a binary star system. The ship's damage control teams worked tirelessly to repair the minor hull breaches and energy fluctuations caused by the Sol Invictus's devastating discharge. Meanwhile, the science team, led by Dr. Elizabeth Lawson, a xenobiologist with a passion for alien life forms, began analyzing the sensor data gathered during the conflict. "The Qatar," Lawson announced during a briefing in the science lab, "are a fascinating species. Their ships are bioorganic, grown rather than constructed, and their energy signatures are unlike anything we've encountered before. Their weapons, too," Singh added, her eyes fixed on a holographic projection of a Qatar energy cannon. They seem to utilize a form of directed bioluminescence, almost like weaponized photosynthesis. Chen whistled in admiration. Clever little buggers, aren't they? Indeed, Lawson agreed, and their communication signals are incredibly complex, almost musical in nature. I've been working on deciphering them, but it's a slow process. Any luck yet? Singh asked. Lawson shook her head. Not yet, but I'm making progress. I believe they're trying to establish contact with us. Good, Singh said. We need to find out who they are and why the Zar'Kahn were attacking them. We also need to figure out how to recharge the Sol Invictus, Chen interjected. That thing saved our bacon, but it's useless without power. I'm working on it, Lawson assured him. The Qatar energy signatures might hold the key to a rapid recharge solution. As the crew continued their analysis and repairs, the Endeavour received a transmission from the Qatar flagship. The message, a complex symphony of chirps and whistles, was still mostly indecipherable, but Lawson was able to extract a few key phrases. Greetings, Endeavour. Gratitude. Alliance. Singh's eyes widened. They're proposing an alliance? Lawson nodded. It seems so. They recognize our strength and our willingness to help. They see us as potential allies against the Zar'Kahn. Singh leaned back in her chair, deep in thought. An alliance with the Qatar would undoubtedly be beneficial. They were a technologically advanced species with vast knowledge of the region. But could they be trusted? After all, they were aliens, with their own motivations and agendas. We need to tread carefully, Singh said finally. But we can't ignore this opportunity. Prepare a response, Lawson. Tell them we're open to discussions. Lawson nodded and returned to her work, crafting a reply in the Qatar language. Meanwhile, Singh contacted Chen, who was still holed up in the engineering section, tinkering with the Sol Invictus. Chen, she said, I need that weapon back online as soon as possible. We may need it sooner than we think. Chen chuckled. Don't worry, Captain. I'm on it. The Qatar have given me a few ideas. Their bioenergy might just be the kick in the pants the Sol Invictus needs. Singh smiled, relieved. She had faith in Chen, in his brilliance, and his unwavering dedication to the Endeavour. With him on their side, they could face any challenge the galaxy threw at them. The Endeavour, once dismissed as a relic, had proven its worth. It was a symbol of human resilience, ingenuity, and the unyielding spirit of exploration, and it was just getting started. The Endeavour settled into a geosynchronous orbit above the Qatar homeworld, a vibrant planet teeming with exotic flora and fauna. The human crew watched in awe as holographic projections displayed the planet's diverse ecosystems, ranging from bioluminescent rainforests to towering crystal formations. A Qatar delegation, consisting of 3 elongated beings with shimmering, iridescent skin, arrived aboard the Endeavour through a specially constructed airlock. They moved with an elegant grace, their limbs flowing like liquid as they navigated the ship's corridors. Captain Singh greeted them in the ship's conference room, flanked by Chen and Lawson. The Qatar leader, a being named Iridescence, extended a delicate tendril towards Singh, a gesture of peace and goodwill. We are honored to welcome you to our home, Iridescence said, its voice a melodious series of clicks and whistles. We have observed your bravery in battle and your willingness to help those in need. We seek to forge a lasting alliance with the humans of Earth. Singh nodded, accepting the tendril with a gentle grasp. The honor is ours, she replied. We are impressed by your resilience and your technological prowess. We believe that together, we can achieve great things. The 2 delegations spent the next several hours in intense discussions. Aided by Lawson's increasingly accurate translations, they exchanged information about their respective cultures, technologies, and histories. They also discussed the Zar'Kahn threat, their shared enemy, and the potential benefits of a joint defense agreement. The Qatar were particularly interested in the Endeavour's experimental technology, especially the Sol Invictus. They offered to share their knowledge of bioenergy in exchange for access to the weapon schematics. Chen, ever the pragmatist, readily agreed. seeing an opportunity to improve the Sol Invictus's efficiency and reduce its power consumption. The discussions were not without their challenges. The Qtar had a vastly different perspective on conflict and morality, valuing harmony and consensus over individual ambition and aggression. The humans, with their history of war and conflict, struggled to reconcile their values with those of their potential allies. However, both sides recognized the importance of overcoming their differences. The Zar'Kahn were a common enemy, a threat to both their civilizations. Only by working together could they hope to defeat them. After several days of negotiations, the two delegations reached an agreement. They would form a formal alliance, sharing information, resources, and technology. The Qtar would provide the humans with bioenergy technology, while the humans would offer their expertise in weapons development and tactical warfare. The Endeavour, once a lone wanderer in the vastness of space, now had allies. The humans, once underestimated and dismissed, had earned the respect of a powerful and enigmatic species. Their journey was far from over, but they now had a glimmer of hope in a galaxy filled with danger and uncertainty. As the Endeavour prepared to depart, Captain Singh watched the Qtar homeworld shrink in the distance, a vibrant jewel against the backdrop of stars. She knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but she also knew that they were not alone. They had friends, allies, and the shared dream of a better future. The Endeavour, the underdog, the relic, had found its purpose. It was a beacon of hope, a symbol of human resilience, and a testament to the power of cooperation. The journey back to Qtar space was filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The crew of the Endeavour was eager to learn more about their new allies and the potential benefits of their alliance. Yet, the looming threat of the Zar'Kahn hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the dangers they faced. Upon arriving at the Qtar homeworld, the Endeavour was greeted with a spectacular display of bioluminescence. Swarms of glowing creatures danced around the ship, their lights pulsating in a rhythmic pattern that seemed to resonate with the very hull of the Endeavour. It was a welcoming ceremony unlike any the humans had ever experienced, a testament to the Qtar's deep connection to their environment and their unique form of communication. Captain Singh and her senior officers were escorted to a grand chamber within a massive, organic structure that served as the Qtar's central hub of governance and knowledge. The chamber was bathed in a soft, ethereal glow emanating from the walls, which were adorned with intricate patterns of bioluminescent algae. Iridescence, the Qtar leader, welcomed the humans with a warm, melodic trill. "We are pleased to see you again, friends of Earth," it said, its voice resonating through the chamber. "We have much to share with you." The Qtar scientists and engineers eagerly demonstrated their bioenergy technology, explaining how they harnessed the energy of living organisms to power their ships and cities. The humans were amazed by the Qtar's ingenuity and their harmonious relationship with their environment. Meanwhile, Chen and his team immersed themselves in the Qtar's bioenergy labs, studying their intricate systems and absorbing every bit of knowledge they could. Chen, with his innate curiosity and knack for innovation, quickly grasped the underlying principles of bioenergy and began formulating ideas for how to adapt it to the Endeavour systems. The Qtar were equally fascinated by the humans' technology, especially the Sol Invictus. They marveled at its destructive power, but also expressed concern about its potential for misuse. Singh assured them that the weapon was only to be used as a last resort, a deterrent against those who sought to harm them. In the evenings, the human crew ventured out onto the Qtar homeworld, exploring its alien landscapes and encountering its strange and wonderful inhabitants. They swam in bioluminescent lakes, hiked through forests of glowing fungi, and even rode on the backs of giant, six-legged herbivores. The cultural exchange was not always easy. The Qtar's communal lifestyle and emphasis on consensus decision-making sometimes clashed with the humans' more individualistic tendencies. However, through patience, understanding, and a willingness to learn from each other, the two species began to bridge the gap between their cultures. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between humans and Qtar grew stronger. They shared meals, stories, and even a few impromptu musical performances. The the Qtar's melodic chirps blending surprisingly well with the humans' more traditional instruments. The alliance, once a tentative agreement, was solidifying into a genuine friendship, a testament to the power of shared goals and mutual respect. The Endeavour, once a lone wanderer in the vastness of space, had found a home among the stars. After weeks of collaboration and cultural exchange, the Endeavour prepared to depart from the Qtar homeworld. The ship's hull gleamed with a newfound vibrancy, its energy systems augmented with Qtar bioenergy technology, increasing its efficiency and reducing its reliance on traditional power sources. Chen was particularly proud of his work, having successfully integrated the bioenergy systems with the Sol Invictus, significantly reducing its charge time and power consumption. "She's running better than ever," Chen declared, patting the console of the Endeavour's engineering station. "This bioenergy stuff is the real deal." Singh smiled, pleased with Chen's progress. "Good work, Chen. I knew you could do it." As the crew prepared for departure, a Qtar delegation, led by Iridescence, arrived on the bridge to bid them farewell. The air was thick with emotion as the two species exchanged gifts and expressions of gratitude. "We are grateful for your friendship, humans of Earth," Iridescence said, its voice filled with warmth. "You have brought hope to our people and strengthened our resolve against the Zar'Kahn. We will never forget your kindness." Singh nodded, her voice thick with emotion. "The feeling is mutual, Iridescence. We have learned much from you and your people. We are honored to call you our allies." The Qtar delegation disembarked, leaving the humans to their preparations. As the Endeavour lifted off from the planet's surface, Singh watched the Qtar homeworld shrink in the distance, a vibrant beacon of hope in a galaxy filled with darkness. The journey back to Zar'Kahn territory was a somber one. The crew knew that their next encounter with the Zar'Kahn would be far more challenging. The element of surprise was gone, and the Zar'Kahn would be eager to avenge their defeat. Singh spent hours in the ship's war room, studying tactical simulations and strategizing with her officers. They knew they couldn't rely solely on the Sol Invictus, as powerful as it was. They needed a multifaceted approach, a combination of stealth, cunning, and technological superiority. Chen, meanwhile, continued to tinker with the Endeavour systems, fine-tuning the bioenergy integration and experimenting with new weapon prototypes. He was determined to give the humans every advantage in the coming conflict. As the Endeavour approached the Zar'Kahn border, tension aboard the ship reached a fever pitch. The crew members went about their duties with a grim determination, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and resolve. They knew that the fate of their mission, and perhaps even their lives, rested on their ability to outsmart and outmaneuver their formidable foes. Singh, sensing the crew's anxiety, called a meeting in the mess hall. She stood before them, her voice steady and resolute. "We are facing a powerful enemy," she said, "an enemy that seeks to destroy us. But we are not alone. We have the Qtar on our side, and we have each other. We are humans, and we will not back down. We will fight for our survival, for our freedom, and for the future of our species." Her words resonated with the crew, igniting a spark of defiance in their hearts. They were the underdogs, the misfits, the rebels. But they were also the heirs to a legacy of exploration, innovation, and the unwavering belief in the potential of humanity. The Endeavour, once a symbol of hope, was now a symbol of resistance, and it was ready to face the Zar'Kahn, no matter the cost. The Endeavour breached Zar'Kahn territory under the cloak of darkness, its newly enhanced cloaking device masking its energy signature from prying sensors. The bridge crew, their faces illuminated by the dim glow of holographic displays, maintained a vigilant watch, their eyes scanning the void for any sign of enemy patrols. "We're approaching the coordinates of the last known Zar'Kahn fleet movement," the navigation officer reported, her voice a hushed whisper. "E to 5 minutes." Singh nodded, her knuckles white as she gripped the armrests of her command chair. The tension in the air was palpable, a thick fog of anticipation and dread that clung to the crew like a second skin. "All hands, battle stations," Singh ordered, her voice amplified throughout the ship. "This is not a drill. Repeat, This is not a drill. The Endeavour hummed with activity as the crew scrambled to their assigned positions. Weapon systems were primed, shields were raised to maximum power, and the engineering team monitored the bioenergy flow, ensuring that every system was operating at peak efficiency. The minutes ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. Then, the sensors blared a warning. "Multiple contacts detected," the tactical officer shouted. "Zar'Kahn warships, closing fast." The view screen lit up with a sight of a dozen Zar'Kahn cruisers, their sleek hulls glinting in the starlight. They were a formidable force, each ship bristling with energy cannons and missile launchers. "Brace for impact," Singh commanded. The Endeavour shuddered as the first volley of enemy fire struck its shields, sending shockwaves through the ship. The crew held their breath, their eyes glued to their displays, waiting for the shields to fail. But the shields held, thanks in no small part to the Qatar bioenergy enhancements. The Zar'Kahn, surprised by the Endeavour's resilience, increased their rate of fire, their weapons unleashing a torrent of energy that battered the ship's defenses. Singh, her face grim, made a split-second decision. "Chen," she said, her voice barely audible over the din of battle, "activate the Sol Invictus." Chen nodded, his fingers flying across his console. The Sol Invictus, fully charged and primed for action, began to glow with an intense blue light. The Zar'Kahn, sensing the gathering energy, focused their fire on the Endeavour's bow, hoping to disrupt the weapon before it could fire. But they were too late. The Sol Invictus erupted in a blinding flash, unleashing a beam of pure energy that vaporized the lead Zar'Kahn cruiser in an instant. The remaining ships scattered, their formation broken, their confidence shaken. The Endeavour, now exposed, became a target for the Zar'Khan's wrath. Energy blasts and missiles rained down upon it, but the ship's nimble maneuvering and resilient shields allowed it to evade most of the attacks. "We can't keep this up forever," Chen warned. "Our shields are weakening, and the Sol Invictus is draining our reserves." Singh nodded, her mind racing as she searched for a way to turn the tide. She knew that they couldn't win this fight through brute force alone. They needed to outsmart their opponents, to use their ingenuity and adaptability to their advantage. "Tactical," she said, her voice sharp, "deploy the decoys." "Decoy deployment in progress," the tactical officer replied. A series of small, drone-like devices launched from the Endeavour, each one mimicking the ship's energy signature and creating a false target for the Zar'Kahn. The enemy ships, confused and disoriented, began to fire on the decoys, allowing the Endeavour to slip away into the darkness. The Endeavour, cloaked once more, weaved through the asteroid field at the edge of Zar'Kahn territory, its sensors scanning the surrounding space for any sign of pursuit. The tension in the bridge remained high, the crew on edge, but there was also a sense of relief that they had escaped the initial onslaught. "Any sign of the Zar'Kahn?" Singh asked, her voice strained. "Negative, Captain," the tactical officer replied. "They seem to have lost our trail." Singh let out a sigh of relief, but she knew it was only temporary. The Zar'Kahn would not give up easily. They would regroup, analyze their defeat, and come back stronger than ever. "Chen," she said, turning to her chief engineer, "what's the status of our power reserves?" Chen grimaced. "Not good, Captain. The Sol Invictus drained us pretty heavily. We're running on auxiliary power for now, but we won't be able to sustain it for long." "How long?" Singh pressed. "A few hours, maybe a day at most," Chen replied. "We need to find a way to recharge our batteries, and fast." Singh nodded, her mind racing as she considered their options. They couldn't risk returning to the Qatar homeworld. It was too far away, and the Zar'Kahn might be waiting for them. They needed a closer source of energy, something that could replenish their reserves quickly and efficiently. Her eyes scanned the holographic star map, searching for any sign of a potential energy source. Then she saw it. A small, uncharted planet located just beyond the asteroid field. It was a gas giant, rich in hydrogen and helium, the perfect fuel for the Endeavour's experimental fusion reactor. "Ensign," Singh said, pointing at the planet on the map. Set a course for that gas giant. We're going to refuel." The ensign nodded and began to input the new coordinates. The Endeavour, its engines humming with renewed purpose, emerged from the asteroid field and accelerated towards the gas giant. As they approached the planet, the Endeavour's sensors detected a faint energy signature emanating from its upper atmosphere. It was a rhythmic pulse, almost like a heartbeat, but far more powerful than anything they had encountered before. "What is that?" Singh asked, her brow furrowed. "I don't know," Lawson replied, her eyes glued to her console. "But it's definitely something alive. And it's huge." The Endeavour cautiously entered the planet's atmosphere, its shields shimmering as they deflected the intense heat and radiation. As they descended deeper, the energy signature grew stronger, its pulsating rhythm echoing through the ship's hull. Suddenly, the viewscreen flickered to life, revealing a breathtaking sight. A colossal creature, resembling a jellyfish the size of a city, floated in the turbulent atmosphere. Its translucent body pulsed with a mesmerizing glow, its tentacles extending for kilometers in every direction. "What in the name of God is that?" Chen whispered, his voice filled with awe. "I don't know," Lawson said, her voice barely a whisper. "But I think we've found our power source." The Endeavour cautiously maneuvered closer to the colossal being, its sensors humming as they gathered data on the creature's energy output. Lawson, her eyes glued to the readings, let out a gasp of astonishment. "Captain," she said, her voice trembling with excitement, "this creature is generating an immense amount of bioenergy. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." Chen, equally awestruck, chimed in. "It's like a giant power plant, floating in the sky. If we could harness even a fraction of that energy, we'd be set for months." Singh, though tempted by the prospect of a quick solution, remained cautious. "We need to approach this carefully," she warned. "We don't know how this creature will react to our presence." The Endeavour inched closer, its engines barely audible above the low rumble of the creature's bioenergy field. As they neared, the creature seemed to sense their presence. Its pulsating glow intensified, and its tentacles began to writhe and coil, as if preparing for an attack. "It's reacting to us," the tactical officer shouted. "Shields up!" The Endeavour's shields flickered to life, casting a protective bubble around the ship. The creature's tentacles brushed against the shields, sending ripples of energy through the hull. "Hold your fire," Singh commanded. "We don't want to provoke it." The Endeavour maintained its distance, observing the creature's behavior. It seemed hesitant, curious, and perhaps even a little wary of the strange, metallic intruder. Lawson, meanwhile, was working feverishly to establish communication with the creature. She transmitted a series of carefully crafted signals, combining elements of QTAR bioluminescence patterns and human mathematical sequences. After several tense minutes, the creature responded. A wave of energy washed over the Endeavour, filling the ship's sensors with a complex pattern of pulses and vibrations. "It's communicating," Lawson exclaimed. "I can feel it in my bones." She closed her eyes, concentrating on the energy patterns, trying to decipher their meaning. After a moment, her eyes snapped open, a look of wonder on her face. "It's inviting us," she said, her voice filled with awe. "It wants us to come closer." Singh hesitated, unsure whether to trust the alien creature. But the thought of their dwindling power reserves and the looming threat of the Zar'Kahn forced her hand. "Very well," she said. "Prepare to dock with the creature, but proceed with caution." The Endeavour cautiously maneuvered towards the creature, its engines barely whispering as it approached. The creature extended a large, fleshy appendage, inviting the ship to dock. Chen, overseeing the docking procedure, felt a surge of adrenaline as the Endeavour made contact with the creature's skin. It was a moment of profound significance, a meeting of two vastly different species, each with their own unique strengths and weaknesses. The docking was successful, the Endeavour's airlock sealing seamlessly with the creature's appendage. The crew waited with bated breath as the creature's bioenergy flowed into the ship, replenishing its power reserves at an astonishing rate. "It's working," Chen shouted, his voice filled with elation. We're recharging faster than I ever imagined. Singh smiled, a wave of relief washing over her. They had found their salvation in the most unexpected of places. The creature, once a potential threat, had become their savior. As the Endeavor's power reserves reached full capacity, the creature released its grip, allowing the ship to drift away. The crew watched in awe as the creature slowly receded into the distance, its bioluminescent glow fading into the swirling clouds of the gas giant. They had been given a gift, a second chance, a renewed sense of purpose. The Endeavour, once on the brink of failure, was now stronger than ever before. It was ready to face the Zar'Kahn, to defend its allies, and to explore the uncharted reaches of the galaxy. The Zar'Kahn fleet, reeling from their unexpected defeat, retreated to a heavily fortified starbase deep within their territory. The Endeavour, meanwhile, continued its exploration mission, venturing deeper into uncharted space, guided by a combination of human intuition and Qatar star charts. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity for the Endeavour crew. They encountered strange new worlds, teeming with exotic life forms and breathtaking landscapes. They forged tentative alliances with other alien species, some friendly, others wary of the humans' growing reputation as a formidable force. News of the Endeavour's victory over the Zar'Kahn spread like wildfire through the galactic grapevine, reaching the ears of both allies and enemies. The Qatar rejoiced, their faith in the alliance renewed, while other species, previously hesitant to engage with humanity, began to see them in a new light. The Zar'Kahn, however, seethed with anger and resentment. Their pride had been wounded, their reputation tarnished. They vowed to hunt down the Endeavour and make the humans pay for their insolence. Back on Earth, the news of the Endeavour's exploits was met with a mix of disbelief and elation. The public, accustomed to the narrative of humanity as the underdog in a vast and dangerous universe, was thrilled to see their species triumph against the odds. The government, initially skeptical of the Endeavour's mission, now saw the potential for galactic influence and power. On board the Endeavour, the crew remained focused on their mission, ever vigilant for signs of Zar'Kahn pursuit. They knew that their victory was only temporary, a brief respite in a long and arduous war. Singh, in particular, was burdened with a heavy sense of responsibility. She had become a symbol of hope for humanity, a beacon of defiance against the Zar'Khan's tyranny. But she also knew that her decisions could have far-reaching consequences, not just for her crew, but for the entire human race. One evening, as the Endeavour cruised through a nebula of swirling colors, Singh found herself standing on the observation deck, gazing out at the endless expanse of stars. Chen joined her, a steaming mug of coffee in his hand. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said, following her gaze. Singh nodded. "It is, but also terrifying. It's a reminder of how small and insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things." Chen chuckled. "Speak for yourself, Captain. I find it exhilarating. The possibilities are endless out here. Who knows what we might discover next?" Singh smiled, appreciating Chen's optimism. "You're right, of course. There's so much out there waiting to be explored. But we have to be careful. We can't let our ambition blind us to the dangers." "I know, Captain," Chen replied. "But that's what makes it all the more exciting, isn't it? The thrill of discovery, the challenge of overcoming obstacles, the satisfaction of knowing that we're pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and experience." Singh nodded, a sense of purpose welling up within her. She was the captain of the Endeavour, a ship that had become a symbol of hope for humanity. It was her duty, her privilege, to lead her crew into the unknown, to explore the wonders of the universe, and to defend their right to exist. The Zar'Kahn may be a formidable foe, but the humans were not alone. They had allies, technology, and an unyielding spirit. They would fight for their place among the stars, and they would not be easily defeated. Weeks turned into months as the Endeavour continued its exploration, charting new territories and making contact with a variety of alien species. The Qatar bioenergy enhancements proved invaluable, not only improving the ship's efficiency, but also opening up new possibilities for scientific research and technological advancement. In the meantime, the Zar'Kahn were not idle. They had rebuilt their fleet, reinforcing it with new ships and advanced weaponry. Their intelligence network, vast and far-reaching, was working tirelessly to gather information on the Endeavor's whereabouts and capabilities. The Zar'Kahn High Command, a council of ruthless warlords and cunning strategists, convened in a darkened chamber, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of holographic displays. The topic of discussion was the Endeavour, the human ship that had dared to defy their authority and humiliate their fleet. "The humans have proven to be a far greater threat than we anticipated," snarled Commander Zark, a veteran warrior with a scarred face and a reputation for brutality. "Their technology is advanced, their tactics unpredictable. We cannot afford to underestimate them again." "We need to find their weakness," hissed Commander Vrax, a cunning strategist with a serpentine gaze. "There must be a way to exploit their vulnerabilities and bring them to their knees." The High Command debated for hours, analyzing data, formulating strategies, and weighing the risks and rewards of various courses of action. Finally, they reached a consensus. They would launch a massive offensive, a coordinated assault on multiple fronts, designed to overwhelm the humans and crush their spirit. The Endeavour, blissfully unaware of the impending storm, continued its exploration of a binary star system, its sensors probing the depths of space for signs of new life. The crew was in high spirits, buoyed by their recent successes and the promise of new discoveries. However, their optimism was short-lived. A distress signal, weak and garbled, reached the Endeavour's sensors. It originated from a human colony on the outskirts of Zar'Kahn territory, a colony that had been established in the wake of the Endeavour's initial victory. Singh's heart sank as she listened to the fragmented transmission. The colony was under attack, the colonists fighting for their lives against a relentless Zar'Kahn onslaught. "We have to help them," Singh said, her voice filled with urgency. "There are people." Chen nodded, his face grim. "I agree, but we need to be careful. This could be a trap." Singh knew he was right. The Zar'Kahn were not above using innocent civilians as bait to lure the Endeavour into a trap. But she couldn't abandon her own kind, not when they needed her most. "We'll proceed with caution," she said, "but we will not abandon our own." The Endeavour changed course, racing towards the beleaguered colony. As they approached, the sensors picked up a massive Zar'Kahn fleet, their ships swarming around the colony like a pack of hungry predators. "This is it," Singh said, her voice grim. "This is the fight we've been dreading." The Endeavour, once a symbol of hope, was now a symbol of defiance. It would not back down, not surrender, not while there were still lives to save and a future to fight for. The Endeavour emerged from hyperspace, its sensors sweeping the region for signs of the human colony. A grim sight greeted them, a once thriving outpost now scarred by battle, its structures pockmarked with laser burns and debris littering the surrounding plains. The colony's distress beacon, though faint, was still active, a desperate cry for help echoing through the void. Singh clenched her jaw, her resolve hardening. "Tactical, hail the colony. Let them know we're here." The communications officer nodded, his fingers dancing across his console. "Hailing Colony Alpha 3. This is the Endeavour, responding to your distress signal. Do you copy?" A tense silence filled the bridge as they awaited a response. Finally, a weak, static-laden voice crackled over the speakers. "Endeavour. Thank God. Under heavy attack. Zar'Kahn. Overwhelming force." The voice trailed off, replaced by a chorus of screams and explosions. Singh's heart pounded in her chest. "Commander," she said, turning to her tactical officer, "give me a tactical overview." A holographic projection appeared above the command console, displaying the colony's layout and the positions of the Zar'Kahn forces. The situation was dire. The colonists were outnumbered and outgunned, their defenses crumbling under the relentless assault. "They won't last much longer," the tactical officer said grimly. Singh nodded, her mind racing as she formulated a plan. "Helm, take us in low and slow. We need to assess the situation before we engage." The Endeavour descended towards the colony, its cloaking device activated to avoid detection. As they neared, the devastation became even more apparent. Buildings were reduced to rubble, vehicles lay overturned and burning, and the bodies of fallen colonists littered the streets. "It's a massacre," Lawson whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Singh's jaw tightened. "We're going to make them pay for this," she said, her voice cold and determined. The Endeavour swooped low over the colony, its sensors scanning for signs of life. They found a small group of survivors holed up in the central plaza, their makeshift barricades barely holding back the advancing Zar'Kahn. "We have to get them out of there," Singh said. "Chen, prepare the transport shuttles. Lawson, assemble a medical team. We're going in." The crew sprang into action, their training and discipline taking over as they prepared for the rescue mission. Chen oversaw the launch of 2 heavily armed shuttles, their hulls reinforced with QTAR bioarmor. Lawson gathered a team of medics and prepared to triage the wounded. Singh, meanwhile, contacted the survivors in the plaza, coordinating their evacuation. "This is the Endeavour," she said, her voice amplified through the shuttle's speakers. "We're here to get you out of there. Follow our instructions and stay calm." The survivors, their faces pale with fear and exhaustion, nodded in unison, their eyes filled with a flicker of hope. The Endeavour's shuttles descended towards the plaza, their weapons blazing as they engaged the Zar'Kahn. The battle was fierce and chaotic, but the humans, fueled by their determination to save their own, fought with a ferocity that surprised even themselves. Under the cover of the shuttle's fire, the survivors scrambled aboard, their faces etched with relief and gratitude. The shuttles, their cargo bays filled with the wounded, lifted off and raced back towards the Endeavour. As the last shuttle docked, Singh let out a sigh of relief. They had saved the survivors, but at a cost. The colony was lost, its people scattered and traumatized. "We'll rebuild," Singh said, her voice firm. "We'll come back stronger than ever before. But first, we have a score to settle." The Endeavour, its mission now transformed from exploration to vengeance, turned its bow towards the Zar'Kahn fleet, its weapons primed and its crew ready for the final battle. The Endeavour, now a beacon of defiance, broke from its hiding spot, its energy signature blazing across the Zar'Kahn sensors. The alien fleet, caught off guard by the sudden reappearance of their quarry, scrambled to respond. Singh, her voice ringing with a steely determination, addressed her crew over the ship's intercom. "This is it. The moment we've been preparing for. The Zar'Kahn have shown us no mercy, and we will give them none in return. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for all those who have suffered at their hands." A wave of grim resolve washed over the crew as they manned their stations, their fingers dancing across consoles, their eyes locked on their targets. The Zar'Kahn flagship, a massive dreadnought bristling with weaponry, opened fire, its energy cannons unleashing a torrent of destructive power towards the Endeavour. The ship's shields, reinforced with QTAR bioenergy, shimmered and crackled as they absorbed the onslaught. "Shields holding," Chen yelled from the engineering section, his voice barely audible over the deafening roar of battle. "But they won't last forever." Singh nodded, her eyes scanning the tactical display. "Tactical, give me options." "We can try to flank them," the tactical officer suggested, "but they have us outnumbered and outgunned. Our best bet is to hit them hard and fast, then retreat before they can regroup." Singh considered the options, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. "Very well," she said. "Helm, prepare for a strafing run. Weapons, target their command ship. Chen, I need everything you've got." The Endeavour surged forward, its engines screaming as it accelerated towards the Zar'Kahn fleet. The Zar'Kahn, confident in their superior numbers, concentrated their fire on the lone human vessel, eager to crush the symbol of their humiliation. But the Endeavour was not alone. Cloaked QTAR ships, their bioluminescent hulls shimmering in the darkness of space, emerged from their hiding places, their energy cannons blazing. The Zar'Kahn, caught by surprise, scrambled to defend themselves against the unexpected attack. The Endeavour, using the chaos to its advantage, swooped low over the Zar'Kahn flagship, its weapons unleashing a devastating volley of fire. The flagship's shields buckled under the onslaught, its hull breached in multiple places. Chen, meanwhile, had activated the Sol Invictus, its energy core glowing with an intense blue light. The Zar'Kahn, sensing the gathering power, desperately tried to redirect their fire, but it was too late. The Sol Invictus erupted in a blinding flash, its energy beam tearing through the flagship's weakened defenses and striking its reactor core. A massive explosion engulfed the flagship, its shattered remains scattering across the battlefield like confetti. The Zar'Kahn fleet, their command structure shattered and their morale broken, faltered and began to retreat. The Endeavour, its mission accomplished, disengaged from the battle, its hull battered but its spirit unbroken. The crew cheered, their voices hoarse from shouting, their hearts filled with a mixture of triumph and relief. But Singh knew that their victory was not the end. It was merely a single battle in a larger war, a war that would test their courage, their ingenuity, and their resolve. "We have struck a blow against the Zar'Kahn," she said, her voice echoing through the ship's intercom. "But we cannot rest on our laurels. They will be back, stronger and more determined than ever. We must remain vigilant, we must continue to fight, and we must never give up hope." The Endeavour, a symbol of defiance and hope, continued its journey through the vast expanse of space, its destiny entwined with the fate of the galaxy. The Endeavour limped away from the devastated colony, its hull scarred and its crew emotionally drained. The survivors, huddled in the ship's makeshift infirmary, recounted the horrors they had endured, their tales of loss and bravery adding fuel to the fire of the crew's determination. Singh, her face etched with a grim resolve, addressed the survivors in a somber tone. "We mourn the loss of your loved ones and your home," she said, her voice filled with empathy. "But I promise you this, the Zar'Kahn will pay for their crimes. We will not rest until they are brought to justice." The survivors nodded, their eyes filled with a mixture of grief and hope. They had lost everything, but they still had the Endeavour, a symbol of resilience and a promise of vengeance. Meanwhile, the Zar'Kahn fleet, having regrouped at their starbase, received a report of the Endeavour's attack on their forces at Alpha 3. Commander Zark, his face contorted with rage, slammed his fist on the table, sending shockwaves through the holographic displays. "The humans have dared to strike back," he roared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "They have attacked our forces and slaughtered our warriors. This insult cannot go unpunished." The other commanders nodded in agreement, their eyes burning with a thirst for revenge. They had underestimated the humans once, but they would not make the same mistake twice. "We will hunt them down," Vrax hissed, his voice dripping with venom. "We will track them to the ends of the galaxy, if necessary, and when we find them, we will make them suffer for their crimes." The Zar'Kahn fleet, reinforced and rearmed, embarked on a relentless pursuit of the Endeavour. They scoured every star system, every asteroid belt, every nebula, their sensors searching for any trace of the human ship. The Endeavour, aware of the impending pursuit, continued its journey, venturing deeper into uncharted territory. Singh, knowing that they could not outrun the Zar'Kahn forever, devised a bold plan. They would lead the Zar'Kahn on a wild goose chase, luring them deeper and deeper into space, far away from any human colonies or outposts. "We'll use their arrogance against them," Singh explained to her officers. "We'll make them think we're running scared, leading them into a trap of our own design." The plan was risky, but it was their only hope. The Endeavour, its engines straining, jumped from one star system to the next, leaving a trail of false signals and decoys to confuse the Zar'Kahn. The Zar'Kahn, eager for revenge, fell for the ruse, their pursuit becoming increasingly desperate and reckless. They chased the Endeavour through treacherous nebulae, asteroid fields, and even a black hole's gravitational pull, their ships sustaining heavy damage along the way. The Endeavour, though battered and bruised, managed to stay one step ahead, its crew's ingenuity and resourcefulness proving to be their greatest assets. They sabotaged Zar'Kahn communication relays, planted false intelligence, and even staged fake distress signals to divert their pursuers. The chase became a game of cat and mouse, a deadly dance across the cosmos. But the Endeavour, the underdog, the relic, was proving to be a worthy opponent, a symbol of human resilience and the unyielding spirit of defiance. News of the Endeavour's daring raid on the colony and subsequent escape from a Zar'Kahn fleet reached the furthest corners of the galaxy, carried on the whispers of subspace transmissions and the hushed conversations of interstellar traders. The human vessel, once an object of ridicule and pity, had become a symbol of defiance, a spark of hope in a galaxy dominated by fear and oppression. In the hidden sanctuary of the Qatar homeworld, the news was met with a mixture of pride and concern. Iridescence, the Qatar leader, convened a council of elders to discuss the implications of the Endeavour's actions. "The humans have proven to be courageous and resourceful allies," Iridescence said, its voice resonating through the bioluminescent chamber. "But their boldness may also provoke the Zar'Kahn into escalating the conflict." "We must stand by them," another elder chirped, its iridescent scales shimmering with determination. "They are our friends, and we have a shared destiny." The council debated long into the night, weighing the risks and rewards of increased involvement in the war. Some argued for caution, fearing the Zar'Khan's wrath, while others advocated for a more proactive stance, believing that the time had come to challenge their oppressors. In the end, they reached a decision. The Qatar would offer the Endeavour refuge and support, providing them with a safe haven to repair and resupply. They would also share their knowledge of Zar'Kahn tactics and technology, gleaned from centuries of covert resistance. Meanwhile, aboard the Endeavour, the crew was grappling with the emotional aftermath of the colony attack. The survivors, though grateful for their rescue, were haunted by the loss of their loved ones and their home. The crew members, who had witnessed the Zar'Khan's brutality firsthand, were filled with a burning desire for revenge. Singh, sensing the growing unrest, called a meeting in the ship's mess hall. She stood before her crew, her face etched with a combination of sorrow and resolve. "We have suffered a great loss," she said, her voice heavy with emotion. "But we will not let grief consume us. We will channel our anger into action, our sorrow into strength. We will honor the memory of the fallen by fighting for a future where such atrocities can never happen again." Her words resonated with the crew, their spirits lifting as they rallied around their captain. They were a family, bound together by shared experiences and a common purpose. They would mourn their losses, but they would not be broken. In the following weeks, the Endeavour, guided by Qatar intelligence, embarked on a series of covert missions to disrupt Zar'Kahn operations. They sabotaged supply lines, infiltrated communication hubs, and even liberated captured Qatar prisoners. The Zar'Kahn, frustrated by the Endeavour's elusiveness and their inability to locate the Qatar homeworld, grew increasingly desperate. They deployed their most advanced warships, their most ruthless commanders, their most sophisticated tracking technology. But the Endeavour, aided by the Qatar's knowledge of their enemies' weaknesses and the crew's own ingenuity, continued to evade capture, striking at the Zar'Khan's vulnerable points like a phantom, a shadow in the night. The Endeavour, once a lone vessel in a vast and hostile universe, had become a symbol of resistance, a beacon of hope for those who dared to oppose the Zar'Khan's tyranny. Its legend grew with each daring mission, each narrow escape, each act of defiance against overwhelming odds. In the heart of Zar'Kahn territory, Commander Zark paced the bridge of his flagship, the Obsidian Claw, his frustration mounting with each passing hour. The Endeavour had slipped through their fingers once again, leaving a trail of confusion and false leads in its wake. "Damn those humans," Zark snarled, his voice echoing through the silent bridge. "They are like shadows, slipping away whenever we get close." Vrax, his second in command, stood beside him, his serpentine eyes fixed on the tactical display. "They are cunning, Commander," he said, his voice smooth and calculating. "But their luck will not hold forever. We will find them, and we will crush them." Zark nodded, his eyes narrowing. "We need to change our tactics," he said. "We cannot rely on brute force alone. We need to think like them, anticipate their movements, outsmart them at their own game." Vrax smiled, a predatory glint in his eyes. "I have a plan, Commander," he said. "A plan that will not only lead us to the Endeavour, but also expose the location of the Qatar homeworld." Zark turned to face Vrax, his interest piqued. "Explain." Vrax outlined his strategy, a complex web of deception and manipulation designed to exploit the humans' empathy and their reliance on the Qatar. He proposed sending a false distress signal from a seemingly vulnerable Zar'Kahn outpost, luring the Endeavour into a carefully prepared trap. "Once they arrive," Vrax explained, "we will spring our ambush, capturing their ship and interrogating its crew. They will lead us to the Qatar, and then we will finally be able to crush both our enemies." Zark considered the plan, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. It was a gamble, but a gamble that could potentially change the course of the war. "Very well," he said, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "Prepare the trap. It is time to teach these humans a lesson they will never forget." Meanwhile, aboard the Endeavour, the crew was celebrating a small victory. Chen had successfully developed a new energy weapon, a miniature version of the Sol Invictus that could be mounted on the ship's fighter drones. The weapon, dubbed the Solar Flare, promised to significantly increase their offensive capabilities. As they toasted their success, a distress signal reached the Endeavour's sensors. It originated from a Zar'Kahn outpost, a remote mining facility located in a desolate asteroid belt. The signal was faint, but the message was clear. They were under attack by an unknown enemy and desperately needed assistance. Singh, her brow furrowed, studied the signal's origin. "A Zar'Kahn distress call," she said, her voice laced with suspicion. "That's unusual." "Maybe they're trying to trick us," Chen suggested. "Lure us into a trap." Singh nodded. "It's possible, but we can't ignore it. They might genuinely need help." She turned to her tactical officer. "Plot a course for the outpost. We'll proceed with caution, but we'll answer their call." The Endeavour, once again a beacon of hope in a galaxy filled with danger, set course for the Zar'Kahn outpost, unaware that they were walking into a carefully orchestrated ambush, a deadly game of deception that could have dire consequences for both humans and Qatar. The Endeavour cautiously approached the Zar'Kahn outpost, its sensors sweeping the surrounding asteroids for any sign of danger. The outpost itself was a desolate collection of metallic structures clinging to a barren asteroid, its once bright lights flickering erratically. Singh, her eyes glued to the viewscreen, shared her concerns with the crew. "Something doesn't feel right," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "This feels too convenient." Chen, monitoring the sensors, nodded in agreement. "I'm picking up multiple energy signatures," he said, his voice tense. "But they're cloaked. We can't get a clear read on them." The Endeavour slowed its approach, its shields raised to maximum power. They circled the outpost, their sensors probing for any hidden threats. But the cloaked energy signatures remained elusive, their nature unknown. Suddenly, the outpost's distress beacon went silent. A chilling silence descended upon the bridge as the crew exchanged uneasy glances. "What happened?" Lawson asked, her voice filled with apprehension. Before anyone could answer, the asteroid field erupted in a maelstrom of energy fire. Dozens of Zar'Kahn warships, their cloaking devices disengaged, emerged from their hiding places, their weapons trained on the Endeavour. "It's a trap," the tactical officer shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. Singh reacted instantly, her instincts honed by years of combat experience. "Evasive maneuvers," she barked. "Full power to shields. Chen, give me everything you've got." The Endeavour juked and weaved, its engines straining as it dodged a hail of laser fire and missiles. The Zar'Kahn, caught off guard by the Endeavour's agility, struggled to maintain their lock. Chen, meanwhile, activated the Endeavour's full arsenal. Energy cannons blazed, missiles streaked through space, and the newly developed solar flares unleashed a dazzling display of firepower. The battle was fierce and chaotic, the Endeavour outnumbered and surrounded. But the human ship, its systems augmented by Qatar bioenergy, proved to be a formidable opponent. Its shields held strong, Its weapons found their mark, and its crew fought with a desperate ferocity. Singh, her eyes fixed on the tactical display, saw an opportunity. The Zar'Kahn, focused on overwhelming the Endeavour, had left their flanks exposed. A narrow corridor through the asteroid field offered a potential escape route. "Helm," she said, her voice calm and steady, "set a course for that gap in the asteroids. Full speed ahead." The Endeavour surged forward, its engines roaring as it hurtled towards the gap. The Zar'Kahn, realizing their prey was escaping, gave chase, their weapons blazing. The Endeavour, weaving through the asteroid field, narrowly avoided a series of devastating blasts. But the Zar'Kahn were relentless, their ships closing in from all sides. Singh, her heart pounding in her chest, made a daring decision. She ordered the Endeavour to dive towards a massive asteroid, its jagged surface looming large in the viewscreen. "Captain, are you sure?" the helmsman asked, his voice filled with doubt. "Trust me," Singh replied, her eyes fixed on the asteroid. The Endeavour plunged towards the asteroid, its shields shimmering as they deflected smaller debris. At the last moment, Singh ordered a hard turn, the ship skimming the asteroid's surface and disappearing into a narrow crevasse. The Zar'Kahn, unable to follow, were forced to break off their pursuit. The Endeavour had escaped, but the battle was far from over. Deep within the asteroid's cavernous depths, the Endeavour lay concealed, its engines silent, its lights dimmed. The crew, their nerves frayed by the intense battle, worked tirelessly to repair the ship's damaged systems and replenish its energy reserves. Singh, her face etched with exhaustion, convened a meeting in the ship's war room. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a grim picture of their situation. They were deep within Zar'Kahn territory, surrounded by hostile forces, and their escape route was blocked. "We're trapped," the tactical officer said, his voice heavy with despair. "Not yet," Singh countered, her voice a steely whisper. "We still have options." She turned to Lawson, the ship's xenobiologist. "Lawson, what can you tell us about this asteroid?" Lawson, her eyes glued to her console, scrolled through a series of scans and data readings. "It's a carbonaceous chondrite," she said, "rich in organic compounds and water ice. It's also incredibly porous, riddled with tunnels and caverns." Singh's eyes lit up. "Tunnels and caverns," she repeated, a glimmer of hope in her voice. "That could be our way out." She turned to the navigation officer. "Plot a course through the asteroid's interior. We'll use its tunnels to evade the Zar'Kahn and reach the other side." The navigation officer nodded, his fingers flying across his console. "It's risky," he warned, "but it's our best chance." The Endeavour, its engines humming softly, began to navigate the labyrinthine network of tunnels within the asteroid. The ship's sensors, enhanced by QTAR technology, allowed them to map the tunnels in real time, avoiding dead ends and cave-ins. As they delved deeper into the asteroid, the crew encountered unexpected wonders. The tunnels were lined with shimmering crystals, their surfaces reflecting the dim light of the ship's lanterns. Strange bioluminescent creatures, their bodies pulsing with an eerie glow, clung to the walls, their eyes following the Endeavour's passage. The journey was not without its perils. The tunnels narrowed and twisted, forcing the Endeavour to maneuver with extreme precision. Several times, they encountered pockets of toxic gases, forcing the crew to don their environmental suits. But through it all, Singh remained calm and focused, her leadership guiding the crew through the darkness. Chen, ever the optimist, saw the asteroid as a treasure trove of scientific discovery, his mind racing with possibilities for new technologies and energy sources. After what seemed like an eternity, the Endeavour emerged from the asteroid's far side, its hull battered but intact. The Zar'Kahn fleet, still searching the other side, was nowhere to be seen. "We did it," Chen exclaimed, pumping his fist in the air. "We escaped the belly of the beast." Singh smiled, relieved but not yet ready to celebrate. "We're not out of the woods yet," she cautioned. "We still have a long way to go before we're safe." The Endeavour, its engines roaring back to life, accelerated away from the asteroid, leaving the Zar'Khan's territory far behind. They had survived another close call, their ingenuity and resourcefulness once again proving their greatest weapons. But the war was far from over, and the Endeavour's journey had only just begun. Safe, for the moment, but far from secure, the Endeavour ventured into the uncharted expanse. A tense silence hung over the bridge as the crew navigated through a sea of stars, each lost in their own thoughts. Singh, seated at the helm, grappled with a weighty decision. They couldn't continue running forever, not with the Zar'Kahn relentlessly pursuing them. "We need to change the game," Singh declared, breaking the silence. "We can't keep playing defense. It's time to take the fight to them." Her words sparked a flicker of hope in the eyes of her crew. They had proven their resilience time and again, but the constant evasion was wearing them down. It was time to turn the tables. Chen, always eager for a challenge, grinned. "I like the way you think, Captain. But how do we go about it? We can't just waltz into their territory and start picking fights." "We won't have to," Singh replied, a sly smile playing on her lips. "We'll let them come to us." Over the next few days, the Endeavour embarked on a series of daring maneuvers, leaving a trail of misleading energy signatures and false distress signals. They appeared and disappeared at random intervals, their movements seemingly erratic and unpredictable. The Zar'Kahn, their pride wounded and their determination fueled by anger, fell for the bait. They chased the Endeavour across the galaxy, their fleet stretched thin, their resources dwindling. Singh, monitoring the Zar'Khan's movements from the safety of a cloaked nebula, observed their growing frustration with a sense of satisfaction. "They're falling right into our trap," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "The trap being?" Chen asked, raising an eyebrow. "Patience, Chen," Singh replied. "All will be revealed in due time." The Endeavour continued its erratic movements, luring the Zar'Kahn further and further away from their core territories. They ventured into regions of space known for their treacherous anomalies and unpredictable hazards, testing the limits of the Zar'Khan's navigational skills and their ship's durability. As the Zar'Kahn fleet grew increasingly weary and frustrated, their communication channels crackled with dissent. The once united force was now fractured, their commanders bickering amongst themselves, their crews questioning their leadership. Singh, monitoring the Zar'Kahn transmissions, could barely contain her excitement. "Their morale is crumbling," she said, her eyes gleaming. "They're ripe for the picking." She turned to her tactical officer. "Prepare a course for the Omega Nebula. It's time to spring our trap." The Endeavour emerged from the nebula, its engines roaring as it accelerated towards the unsuspecting Zar'Kahn fleet. The Zar'Kahn, their senses dulled by exhaustion and overconfidence, were caught completely off guard. The Endeavour unleashed its full arsenal, its weapons blazing, its shields shimmering, its crew fighting with a ferocity born of desperation and a thirst for justice. The Zar'Kahn, outnumbered and outmaneuvered, were cut down in droves, their ships exploding in a fiery spectacle of destruction. The battle was short but brutal, a testament to the Endeavour's tactical superiority and the unwavering resolve of its crew. When the dust settled, the Zar'Kahn fleet was decimated, its remnants fleeing in disarray. The Endeavour, battered but victorious, emerged from the chaos, its hull scarred but its spirit unbroken. They had turned the tables on their pursuers, proving that even the underdog could rise above adversity and claim victory against all odds. News of the Endeavour's stunning victory spread throughout the galaxy like a shockwave. Whispers turned into murmurs, murmurs into proclamations. The Zar'Kahn, the seemingly invincible empire, had been dealt a crippling blow by a lone human vessel. On Earth, celebrations erupted. Crowds filled the streets, waving banners and cheering for their unexpected heroes. The Endeavour and its crew became overnight celebrities, their faces plastered on every screen, their names whispered in awe. The political landscape shifted as well. The Endeavour's success galvanized the human government, emboldening them to take a more assertive stance on the galactic stage. Diplomatic channels were opened with other species, alliances were forged, and a newfound sense of unity swept across humanity. But not everyone rejoiced. The Zar'Kahn, their pride wounded and their power threatened, reacted with fury. They launched propaganda campaigns, denouncing the humans as terrorists and warmongers. They doubled down on their efforts to locate and destroy the Endeavour, pouring vast resources into their search. Aboard the Endeavour, the atmosphere was a mix of jubilation and caution. The crew basked in the glow of their victory, but they knew that their respite was temporary. The Zar'Kahn would not rest until they had their revenge. Singh, ever the pragmatist, used this time to strengthen their ties with the Kutar and other sympathetic species. She established secure communication channels, shared intelligence on Zar'Kahn movements, and coordinated joint patrols to deter further aggression. Chen, meanwhile, continued to push the boundaries of human technology, refining the Sol Invictus and developing new weapons and defensive systems. He was determined to ensure that the Endeavour remained one step ahead of the Zar'Kahn, always ready to meet their next challenge. Lawson, the xenobiologist, focused her efforts on studying the Kutar bioenergy technology, seeking ways to further integrate it into the Endeavour systems. She believed that the key to humanity's survival in the galaxy lay not in brute force, but in understanding and harnessing the natural energies of the universe. As the months passed, the Zar'Khan's search for the Endeavour became increasingly desperate. They launched raids on suspected human outposts, interrogated captured Kutar agents, and even resorted to torture in their quest for information. But the Endeavour remained elusive, a ghost in the machine, a symbol of hope and defiance that the Zar'Kahn could not extinguish. Its crew, united by a common purpose and a shared belief in humanity's potential, continued to explore the galaxy, forging new alliances and preparing for the inevitable final showdown with their relentless pursuers. The war for the future of humanity had entered a new phase, a phase of uncertainty and danger, but also of opportunity and growth. The Endeavour, once a lone vessel, was now the vanguard of a growing resistance, a beacon of hope in a galaxy teetering on the brink of chaos. The Zar'Khan's relentless pursuit had driven the Endeavour deeper into the uncharted regions of the galaxy. The crew, though weary from constant vigilance and the strain of hyperspace jumps, found themselves in a breathtakingly beautiful sector of space. Nebulae swirled with vibrant hues, casting an ethereal glow on the ship's hull. Distant stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across a velvet canvas. "This is incredible," Lawson murmured, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen, mesmerized by the cosmic ballet unfolding before her. "It's also dangerous," Singh reminded her, her voice a gentle reprimand. "We can't let our guard down, not even for a moment." "Aye, Captain," Lawson replied, her tone returning to its usual professionalism. "But it's hard not to be awestruck by the sheer beauty of it all." Chen, ever the pragmatist, chimed in. "Beauty is all well and good, but it won't protect us from the Zar'Kahn. We need to find a place to lay low, regroup, and come up with a new strategy." Singh nodded in agreement. "We're heading towards a system marked on the Kutar star charts as a potential safe haven," she said. "It's a neutral zone, a haven for refugees and those seeking to avoid the Zar'Khan's reach." The Endeavour altered course, its engines humming as it navigated the treacherous currents of the nebula. As they neared the designated coordinates, the sensors detected a cluster of celestial bodies, a haven of sorts nestled amidst the cosmic chaos. "We're here," the navigation officer announced. "This is Haven." The viewscreen revealed a breathtaking sight. A vast asteroid belt, teeming with life and activity, orbited a dying star. Within the belt, a sprawling city, built into the very fabric of the asteroids, shimmered with a multitude of lights. It was a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of those who sought refuge from the Zar'Khan's tyranny. The Endeavour sent out a coded transmission, identifying themselves as allies of the Kutar and requesting permission to dock. After a tense few minutes, a response came back, welcoming them to Haven. As the Endeavour entered the asteroid belt, the crew was greeted by a dazzling display of technological ingenuity. Ships of all shapes and sizes, representing a myriad of alien species, bustled through the labyrinthine corridors of the city, their engines humming, their lights flashing. The Endeavour docked at a designated platform, where a delegation of Haven representatives awaited them. The delegation was a motley crew, a diverse group of aliens united by their shared desire for freedom and their opposition to the Zar'Kahn. Singh, stepping off the ramp, was greeted by a tall, slender being with shimmering silver skin and large, inquisitive eyes. The being introduced itself as Elder, the leader of Haven. "Welcome, humans of Earth," Elder said, its voice a melodious chime. "We are honored to have you as our guests. Your bravery in the face of the Zar'Kahn has inspired us all." Singh nodded, grateful for the warm welcome. "The honor is ours, Elder," she replied. "We are humbled by your hospitality and your unwavering commitment to freedom." The Endeavour crew was escorted through the bustling city, their eyes wide with wonder as they took in the sights and sounds of this unique sanctuary. They saw shops filled with exotic wares, restaurants serving delicacies from across the galaxy, and even a lively marketplace where aliens of all shapes and sizes haggled over goods and services. But beneath the veneer of normalcy, there was an undercurrent of tension, a shared understanding that their refuge was fragile, their existence precarious. The Zar'Khan's shadow loomed large, a constant reminder of the ever-present danger. The respite in Haven was a brief one. The Endeavour underwent intensive repairs, its battle scars mended with a combination of human ingenuity and Qatar bioengineering. Chen and his team worked tirelessly to refine the Sol Invictus, incorporating Qatar bioenergy technology to enhance its power and efficiency. The ship's crew trained rigorously, honing their combat skills and familiarizing themselves with the new weapon systems. Meanwhile, the Zar'Kahn were closing in. Their intelligence network, bolstered by bribes and threats, had finally pinpointed the location of Haven. A massive fleet, led by Commander Zar'Kahn himself, was en route, eager to crush the haven of resistance and extinguish the symbol of human defiance that was the Endeavour. Word of the Zar'Khan's impending attack reached Haven, sending shockwaves through the city. The diverse inhabitants, united in their shared fear of the Zar'Kahn, rallied together, their determination hardening. The haven that had offered them refuge was now a battleground, their peaceful existence shattered by the looming threat of war. Singh, her face grim, met with Elder and the other Haven leaders in the Grand Chamber. The air crackled with tension as they discussed their options. "We cannot match the Zar'Khan's firepower," Elder said, his voice filled with concern. "They will overwhelm us." "We must evacuate," another leader suggested. "Scatter to the winds, seek refuge elsewhere." Singh shook her head. "Running won't solve anything," she said. "The Zar'Kahn will simply hunt us down, one by one. We need to stand our ground, fight for our home." Her words resonated with the others, their spirits lifting as they rallied behind her. They were a diverse group, humans and aliens, united by their shared desire for freedom and their refusal to bow to tyranny. "We will fight," Elder declared, his voice ringing with newfound resolve. "We will fight for Haven, for our lives, for our future." The Endeavour crew, inspired by the Haven's defiance, redoubled their efforts. Chen and his team worked around the clock, upgrading the ship's defenses and preparing for the onslaught. The Qatar shared their knowledge of Zar'Kahn tactics, helping the humans devise a defensive strategy that would maximize their limited resources. The days leading up to the battle were a whirlwind of activity. The Endeavour's crew drilled relentlessly, practicing evasive maneuvers and coordinating their attacks. The Haven's inhabitants prepared for the worst, stockpiling supplies and reinforcing their shelters. As the Zar'Kahn fleet approached, a sense of grim determination settled over Haven. The Endeavour, its hull gleaming in the light of the dying star, took its place at the forefront of the defense, a symbol of hope and defiance against the encroaching darkness. The battle for Haven was about to begin, a clash of civilizations, a struggle for survival that would determine the fate of countless lives and the future of an entire sector of the galaxy. The Zar'Kahn fleet arrived in a storm of aggression, their warships blotting out the stars as they emerged from hyperspace. Their massive dreadnoughts, bristling with weaponry, dwarfed the smaller, more agile ships of the Haven defenders. A chilling silence fell over the battlefield as both sides assessed their opponent. Then, the silence was shattered by a deafening roar as the Zar'Kahn opened fire, their energy cannons unleashing a devastating barrage on the asteroid city. The Endeavour, positioned at the forefront of the defense, retaliated with a volley of its own, its newly enhanced weapons tearing through the Zar'Khan's ranks. The Qatar ships, their bioluminescent hulls shimmering in the darkness, joined the fray, their energy cannons pulsing with a rhythmic intensity. The battle was a maelstrom of light and sound, a chaotic dance of destruction as ships clashed, weapons flared, and shields shattered. The Endeavour, its agility and advanced systems proving invaluable, weaved through the enemy fleet, delivering surgical strikes and disrupting their formations. Chen, his eyes glued to the tactical display, directed the ship's fire with pinpoint accuracy, targeting weak points in the Zar'Khan vessels and maximizing their damage. The Sol Invictus, fully charged and ready for action, remained a potent threat, its mere presence causing the Zar'Khan to hesitate. But the Zar'Khan were relentless, their numbers seemingly endless. They pressed their attack, their ships swarming around the Endeavour, their weapons hammering at its shields. The ship's hull shuddered under the onslaught, its systems straining to maintain integrity. Singh, her face grim, barked orders into her communicator, her voice a beacon of calm amidst the chaos. Helm, evasive maneuvers, engineering, divert all power to shields, weapons, target their command ship. The Endeavour twisted and turned, its engines screaming as it dodged a hail of laser fire. The crew, their faces pale, but their resolve unwavering, worked tirelessly to keep the ship operational. The Qatar ships, though outmatched, fought with a ferocity that belied their peaceful nature. Their bio-organic weapons unleashed a torrent of energy, their symbiotic fighters swarming around the Zar'Khan vessels like angry insects. But the Zar'Khan were too strong, their numbers too great. The Qatar ships, one by one, fell silent, their hulls pierced by enemy fire, their bioluminescent glow fading into the darkness. The Endeavour, now the last line of defense, stood alone against the Zar'Khan onslaught. Its shields flickered and faded, its hull scarred and pitted. But its spirit, the spirit of humanity, remained unbroken. Singh stood on the bridge, the dim glow of the holographic displays reflecting in her eyes. She watched as the Zar'Khan fleet, a swarm of angry hornets, grew larger on the main view screen. Her heart pounded in her chest, but her resolve remained unwavering. This was it, the final stand. "All hand, battle stations," she commanded, her voice echoing through the ship's intercom. "This is it, people. This is what we've been training for. Show them what humanity is made of." The Endeavour hummed with activity as the crew scrambled to their positions, each one a well-oiled cog in a complex machine. Weapon systems whirred to life, energy shields crackled with anticipation, and the bioengineered core pulsed with a steady rhythm, supplying power to every system. The Zar'Khan fleet, led by the Obsidian Claw, Zark's imposing flagship, formed a menacing crescent around the Endeavour. Their comms crackled with taunts and threats, their confidence bolstered by their overwhelming numbers. "Human scum," Zark's voice boomed through the speakers. "You have evaded us for far too long. Now, your time has come. Surrender, and we will grant you a swift death. Resist, and you will suffer the agony of 1,000 suns." Singh's lips curled into a defiant smile. "We will never surrender, Zark," she replied, her voice amplified across the battlefield. "You may have the numbers, but we have the will, and we have something else you lack, the element of surprise." At that moment, the Endeavour vanished from sight, its cloaking device activated. The Zar'Khan, caught off guard, hesitated, their weapons momentarily silent. Singh, watching the confusion on the Zar'Khan viewscreen, seized the opportunity. "Chen," she said, her voice calm and measured, "unleash the solar flares." A swarm of drones, each equipped with a miniature Sol Invictus, launched from the Endeavour's hidden base. They streaked towards the Zar'Khan fleet, their energy signatures masked by the cloaking technology. The Zar'Khan, their sensors blinded, were caught completely off guard as the drones unleashed their payload. The miniature Sol Invictus beams, though less powerful than the original, were still devastatingly effective. They pierced the Zar'Khan's shields, crippling their weapon systems and causing widespread panic. The Endeavour, taking advantage of the chaos, uncloaked and launched a full-scale assault. Its main energy cannons roared, missiles streaked towards their targets, and the Sol Invictus, fully charged and ready for action, fired a devastating beam that tore through the heart of the obsidian claw. Zar'Kahn, watching in horror as his flagship disintegrated, could only utter a final curse before being consumed by the flames. The Zar'Kahn fleet, their leader dead and their morale shattered, began to crumble. Their ships, once a symbol of power and dominance, now scattered like frightened insects, desperately trying to escape the Endeavour's wrath. The battle raged for hours, the Endeavour and its allies inflicting heavy casualties on the Zar'Kahn. But the humans were not without their own losses. Several Qatar ships were destroyed, their brave crews sacrificing themselves to protect their human friends. Finally, the remaining Zar'Kahn ships, battered and broken, retreated from the battlefield, leaving the Endeavour and its allies to claim a hard-won victory. The Endeavour, its hull scarred and its crew exhausted, emerged from the battle as a symbol of defiance and hope. They had faced the might of the Zar'Kahn Empire and lived to tell the tale. They had proven that humanity, though small and seemingly insignificant, was a force to be reckoned with. In the aftermath of the battle, the Endeavour limped towards a nearby nebula, seeking refuge in its swirling clouds of gas and dust. The ship's infirmary was filled with the wounded, their groans and cries of pain, a constant reminder of the sacrifices made in the fight for freedom. Dr. Ursula Lawson and her medical team worked tirelessly, their hands stained with bioluminescent fluids as they tended to the injured. The Qatar bioengineering technology proved invaluable, accelerating the healing process and minimizing casualties. Singh, her face etched with exhaustion, moved from bed to bed, offering words of comfort and encouragement to the wounded. She knew that the physical wounds would heal, but the psychological scars would take longer to mend. Chen, his usually cheerful demeanor subdued, supervised the repairs to the Endeavour. The ship had taken a beating, but its core systems were still intact, thanks to the Qatar enhancements. "We were lucky," Chen said to Singh as they surveyed the damage in the engineering section. "Another few direct hits, and we would have been done for." Singh nodded, a shiver running down her spine. "We need to find a more permanent solution," she said. "We can't keep running and hiding. We need to take the fight to the Zar'Kahn on our terms." Chen's eyes lit up with a spark of ingenuity. "I've been working on something," he said, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "Something that could turn the tide of this war." He led Singh to a secluded corner of the engineering section, where a large, cylindrical device lay hidden beneath a tarp. He pulled back the tarp, revealing a pulsating sphere of energy contained within a transparent casing. "This," Chen announced, his voice filled with pride, "is the Genesis device." Singh stared at the device, her brow furrowed in confusion. "What is it?" she asked. "It's a weapon," Chen explained, "but not like any weapon you've ever seen. It harnesses the raw energy of the universe, amplifying it and focusing it into a single, devastating blast." Singh's eyes widened. "How powerful?" "Powerful enough to destroy an entire planet," Chen replied, his voice barely a whisper. Singh was speechless. The Genesis device was a game-changer, a weapon of unimaginable power. But it was also a dangerous weapon, one that could easily fall into the wrong hands. "We have to be careful with this," she said, her voice grave. "We can't let it become a weapon of terror." Chen nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "I know," he said, "but used wisely, it could be our salvation. It could end this war, once and for all." Singh gazed at the Genesis device, her mind racing with possibilities. It was a weapon of immense power, a tool of destruction. But it was also a symbol of hope, a testament to human ingenuity and the unyielding spirit of defiance. The Endeavour, once a lone wanderer in the vastness of space, was now a beacon of hope, a force to be reckoned with. And with the Genesis device at its disposal, it had the power to change the course of history. The news of the Zar'Khan's crushing defeat sent ripples of shock and awe throughout the galaxy. The Empire, once thought invincible, had been humbled by a ragtag group of rebels and a lone human vessel. The myth of their invincibility was shattered, replaced by a growing sense of vulnerability and fear. On the Qatar homeworld, the news was met with jubilation and relief. The Qatar, who had long suffered under the Zar'Khan's oppressive rule, saw the Endeavour's victory as a sign that the tide was turning. They sent a message of congratulations to Singh and her crew, their bioluminescent symbols flashing with gratitude and admiration. Other alien species, who had previously remained neutral in the conflict, began to take notice. The Endeavour had proven that the Zar'Khan could be defeated, that their tyranny was not absolute. Embassies were established, alliances were forged, and a growing movement for galactic liberation began to take shape. But the victory was not without its costs. The Endeavour had sustained heavy damage in the battle, its hull riddled with scars, its systems strained to their limits. The crew, though physically unharmed, were emotionally and mentally exhausted. The Haven of Haven, too, had suffered. The Zar'Khan's attack had left its mark on the city, its once vibrant streets now filled with rubble and debris. The survivors mourned their losses, but their spirits remained unbroken. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, their resolve hardened by the shared experience of suffering and resilience. Singh, recognizing the need for rest and recuperation, ordered the Endeavour to a secluded system on the outskirts of the haven. There, they would regroup, repair their ship, and tend to their wounded. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. The Endeavour's crew worked tirelessly to restore their ship to its former glory, their efforts aided by Qatar engineers and technicians. The Sol Invictus was carefully examined and repaired, its power core replenished with bioenergy from the haven's abundant resources. Singh, meanwhile, spent hours in the ship's war room, analyzing the data from the battle and planning their next move. She knew that the Zar'Khan would not remain idle for long. They would regroup, rearm, and return with a vengeance. The Endeavour needed to be ready. In the quiet moments between repairs and strategy sessions, Singh found herself drawn to the observation deck, where she would gaze out at the vast expanse of stars, lost in thought. The galaxy was a beautiful and terrifying place, filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. But humanity, she realized, was not alone. They had allies, friends, and a growing network of support. The Endeavour's victories had ignited a spark of hope, a belief that even the most oppressive regimes could be challenged and defeated. The future was uncertain, the path ahead fraught with peril. But Singh knew that the Endeavour, and the spirit of humanity it embodied, would continue to fight for freedom, for justice, and for the right to explore the stars. The Endeavour, now fully repaired and upgraded, emerged from the nebula like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Its hull, once battered and scarred, now gleamed with a newfound resilience, reinforced with Qatar bio-armor and infused with their bioenergy technology. The ship's interior buzzed with a renewed sense of purpose. The crew, refreshed and reinvigorated, went about their duties with a quiet confidence, their eyes fixed on the horizon, their minds focused on the challenges ahead. Singh, her resolve unwavering, had made a decision. It was time to stop running, time to stop reacting to the Zar'Khan's aggression. It was time to take the fight to them, to strike at the heart of their empire and dismantle their reign of terror. She gathered her senior officers in the war room, the holographic star map illuminating their faces with an eerie glow. "We've been playing defense for too long," she said, her voice firm and resolute. "It's time to go on the offensive." The officers nodded in agreement, their expressions a mix of anticipation and determination. They had tasted victory, and they craved more. Chen, his eyes gleaming with excitement, leaned forward. "What are you proposing, Captain?" Singh pointed to a cluster of stars on the holographic map. "This is the Zar'Kahn homeworld," she said. "It's heavily fortified, but it's also their most vulnerable point. If we can strike a decisive blow there, we can cripple their empire and end this war." A murmur of astonishment rippled through the room. The idea of attacking the Zar'Kahn homeworld was audacious, bordering on reckless. But it was also a stroke of genius, a bold move that could change the course of history. "It's a long shot," Singh acknowledged, "but it's our best shot. We'll use our cloaking device to infiltrate their territory, disable their defenses, and deliver a crippling blow to their infrastructure." The officers exchanged glances, weighing the risks and rewards. It was a dangerous mission, a gamble with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. But they also knew that Singh was right. It was time to stop running, time to fight back. "We're with you, Captain," Chen said, his voice filled with determination. "Let's show those Zar'Kahn bastards what we're made of." The Endeavour, its mission now clear, set course for the Zar'Kahn homeworld. The crew knew that the odds were stacked against them, but they also knew that they were fighting for something greater than themselves. They were fighting for freedom, for justice, and for the future of their species. The Endeavour, a symbol of defiance and a beacon of hope, emerged from the darkness of space, its hull gleaming with a renewed purpose. It had become more than just a ship. It was a legend, a rallying cry for the oppressed, and a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. Singh stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the Zar'Kahn homeworld looming large on the viewscreen. It was a massive, sprawling metropolis, a testament to their technological prowess and their insatiable thirst for power. But it was also a fortress, heavily fortified and protected by a vast network of orbital defenses. "This is it," Singh said, her voice a steely whisper. "The moment of truth." The Endeavour, cloaked in QTAR bioluminescent camouflage, slipped past the outer defenses, its energy signature masked by the swirling nebula. The ship's sensors, enhanced with alien technology, probed the Zar'Kahn network, searching for vulnerabilities. Chen, his fingers dancing across his console, identified a weak point in the energy grid, a small but crucial flaw that could be exploited. "I found a way in," he said, his voice filled with excitement. "But it's risky. We'll have to disable their main power generator from within." Singh nodded, a determined glint in her eyes. "That's a risk we'll have to take. Prepare a strike team. We're going in." A team of Endeavour's finest, led by Singh and Chen, boarded a stealth shuttle and launched from the ship's underbelly. They descended towards the planet's surface, their cloaking device shimmering as it masked their presence from the Zar'Kahn sensors. The shuttle landed in a secluded courtyard, its occupants emerging into the shadows. They moved with a practiced efficiency, their weapons at the ready, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. They made their way through the labyrinthine corridors of the Zar'Kahn city, their path illuminated only by the faint glow of their bioluminescent markers. The city was a hive of activity, even in the dead of night. Zar'Kahn warriors patrolled the streets, their armor gleaming in the dim light, their eyes constantly scanning for any sign of intruders. The strike team reached the power generator, a massive structure guarded by a squadron of elite Zar'Kahn soldiers. A fierce firefight ensued, the air filled with the crackle of energy weapons and the smell of ozone. The humans, outnumbered but not outmatched, fought with a ferocity that surprised their enemies. Their QTAR-enhanced weapons proved devastatingly effective, their bioengineered bodies more resilient than the Zar'Kahn had anticipated. In the chaos of battle, Singh and Chen reached the generator's control room. They quickly disabled the security systems and set the generator to overload, its power surging out of control. As the alarms blared and the city plunged into darkness, the strike team retreated to their shuttle, their mission accomplished. The Endeavour, waiting in orbit, picked up their signal and launched a series of devastating strikes on the now vulnerable city. The Zar'Kahn, their infrastructure crippled and their defenses compromised, were thrown into chaos. Their once mighty empire was crumbling from within, its power waning with each passing moment. The Endeavour, its mission complete, vanished into the depths of space, leaving behind a legacy of defiance and a message of hope. Humanity, once underestimated and dismissed, had proven its worth on the galactic stage. They had defied the odds, challenged the oppressors, and emerged victorious. The Zar'Kahn Empire, once a symbol of fear and dominance, was now a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the mightiest empires can fall. The destruction of the Zar'Kahn homeworld marked a turning point in the galactic conflict. The once mighty empire, crippled by the loss of its leadership and infrastructure, fractured into warring factions, their grip on the galaxy loosening. The Endeavour, hailed as a symbol of liberation, became a rallying point for oppressed species across the stars. Rebellions erupted in Zar'Kahn-controlled territories, fueled by the hope that the Endeavour had ignited. Singh and her crew, now heroes of the resistance, found themselves at the center of a burgeoning intergalactic movement. They traveled from planet to planet, offering aid to those in need, forging alliances, and spreading the message of hope and defiance. The Qatar, emboldened by the Zar'Khan's downfall, emerged from their isolation and joined the fight for freedom. Their bioenergy technology, once a closely guarded secret, became a vital asset in the war effort, powering rebel ships and fueling their weapons. The war raged for years, a bloody and brutal conflict that engulfed the galaxy. The Endeavour, always at the forefront, became a legend, its exploits whispered in hushed tones in the darkest corners of the Zar'Kahn-controlled territories. But the humans were not alone. They had allies, friends, and a growing army of supporters. The tide had turned, and the Zar'Khan's days were numbered. In the end, it was not a single battle that won the war, but a series of small victories, a slow erosion of the Zar'Khan's power and influence. The empire, weakened by internal strife and external pressure, finally collapsed, its remnants scattering to the winds. The galaxy, freed from the Zar'Khan's tyranny, entered a new era of peace and cooperation. The Endeavour, its mission accomplished, returned to Earth, its crew hailed as heroes, their names etched in the annals of history. But their journey was far from over. The Endeavour, now a symbol of hope and a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, set out on a new mission, to explore the uncharted reaches of the galaxy, to seek out new life and new civilizations, and to forge a brighter future for all.